I want to talk about the Boston Celtics bench on today's episode. Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot, and we have seen a flurry of injuries in the starting lineup with Jrue Holiday, Jason Tatum, Brown, Hauser, Derek White, Porzingis, Horford. And the bench has really stepped up in numerous ways. So I want to break that down. But on the back half of the show, Mazzulla Ball has always put us on notice, but now it's starting to put the league on notice as a few other teams have tried to replicate Mazzulla Ball, but Brad Stevens created this roster for it to fit Mazzulla Ball perfectly. Before we jump into that, if you guys love the Boston Celtics, then love this video. All you guys have to do is hit that thumbs up button for me. We are trying to hit 300 likes on today's video, so it's super simple. Love the Boston Celtics, like this video, and let's jump in on it. All right, the bench stats so far among all of the NBA teams, the Boston Celtics are looking pretty good. In terms of minutes, they're actually second right now as Payton, Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Lou Kornet, Neemias Queta, Jordan Walsh, they have been racking up their minutes through the first 20 games of this season. In points, they're third, right behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're averaging about 120.5 points per game. In rebounds, they're 14th, which understandably, we know that in terms of the rebounding, it mainly leans on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. Well, those guys are typically always playing with bench players. And then a field goals percentage, they're at 46%. Three-point percentage, they're actually in the top 10 at 8th best in the league at 37.6%. But you really can't talk about the bench stats without talking about Payton Pritchard, because he is the star of the bench. He right now is in the running. He is number one in Vegas odds to win Sixth Man of the Year. And what is Sixth Man of the Year? Pretty much the best bench player in the NBA. He is currently third in the NBA in minutes per game in bench players at 28.3, which is phenomenal for Payton Pritchard, who was averaging just a little under 20 minutes a game last year. Points per game, he's fourth in the NBA in bench points, 16.5. And then with players that have played over 20 games, because you have to realize when it comes to bench players, not every single one plays every single game, but Pritchard has. He is 10th in field goal percentage in 20-plus games played, and he is third in three-point percentage in 20-plus games played. Pritchard is putting the NBA on notice. But the beauty of it is that it's not just Payton Pritchard. There are several different bench players that are actually making a splash for the Celtics this year, and the beauty is they're taking off the pressure. They're making the starting five their lives a lot easier. And who's that other player? Well, that's Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser, who actually got to step in and be the starter last night as Jrue Holiday missed his second game of the season back-to-back. And then Jason Tatum got a well-deserved rest night. Well, Sam Hauser did not disappoint. He went 5 for 10, 50% from downtown. He had 20 points. And did you know that Sam Hauser is actually a little secret sauce here for the Boston Celtics? They are 9-0. When Hauser has over 20-plus points. And that's not easy for a guy off the bench to do that. But Payton Pritchard has done it now 4 times this season. Sam Hauser proving that if he does that as well, the Boston Celtics win. They're undefeated. So when you put these two players together, it creates the perfect recipe. Right now, they're both averaging over 22 minutes per game. Their rebounding is both over 3. Their assists fall more in the Payton Pritchard category, obviously because he's the point guard. His field goal percentage is nearly 49% for Pritchard, while 43% for Sam Hauser. They're right now averaging 16.5 points per game for Payton Pritchard, and then Sam Hauser about 8.5 points per game, but he has played a little bit less of games than Pritchard has so far this season, and then their three-point percentage is just off the chart. So together, when you put these two on the court, at the same time or at different times, they're just phenomenal coming off the bench. And you want players like this that can come off the bench and immediately guess the tone of the game without having to get adjusted to it. Because when PP and Hauser are in right now for the Boston Celtics, they're averaging 12.5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game combined. That does go a long way for a team that needs a little extra help coming off the bench. But they don't want to be in the starting lineup. Not necessarily want, but they don't need to be in the starting lineup. Sam Hauser did say this more recently when he did get his first start about how he loves the role he has for the Boston Celtics. Same with Payton Pritchard. I think the best part about our team is we all know we need each other to be great. That's how we won last year, and that's how we try to do our thing this year. Obviously, for us to reach our maximum potential, it's us trusting one another and being confident in one another that it doesn't always have to be Tatum and Brown. When you look at other franchises in the NBA, it has to be Jokic. it has to be Luka. It has to be Jalen Brunson. But for the Boston Celtics, shit, it can be Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, White, Holiday, Hauser, Pritchard. There are so many what-ifs that the Boston Celtics can use that I really don't think that people realize how many duos the Celtics have. We love Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's the best duo, in my opinion, in the NBA. What about Cookies and Cream? Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown. What about the all-NBA defensive team of the backcourt duo, Derek White and Jrue Holiday? What about Payton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, the duo coming off the bench? There are so many beautiful pairs that make the Boston Celtics great, and that's why I think it's just hard for any NBA team to defeat us long-term, a.k.a. in a 7-game series. So before I hop into Mazzulla Ball and really break that down here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports, I want you guys to give PP and Sam Hauser the love that they deserve. Go on ahead and spam your shams in the comment section down below. I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor here on Celtics Today, and that is Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America. I play Prize Picks every single game day, including, well, right now. And if you guys want to play Prize Picks, it's super easy. All you guys have to do is download the app. Once you get there, all you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players. Just pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Not to mention, this past weekend, I placed $45 down on a 4-pick play, and I won $400. That is why I love playing Prize Picks. It took me less than 60 seconds to make those picks, and I walked away with a $400 profit. But I kept it very simple for tonight's game. I wanted to go a little bit here on football and with basketball, so I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, to have more than 6.5 receptions going up against the Green Bay Packers. And then I have Jamal Murray to have more than 18.5 points on tonight's ball game. So if you guys want to go ahead and make your picks, it's super easy to do so. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. This is going to give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code CLNS. This will give you guys $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Not only is the Boston Celtics roster the hardest thing to beat in the Boston Celtics world in the NBA, but it's Mazzulla Ball. I know we've talked off and on about Mazzulla Ball, but we haven't actually really dissected it and what this does mean, because I've now started to notice that other teams in the league are starting to try and craft Mazzulla Ball the way that Joe Mazzulla has, and it doesn't work out the same way. I know we primarily think that Mazzulla Ball equals taking as many three-point shots as you possibly can because you think that the majority is going to fall. That's not technically it, but the Celtics are pretty damn good at shooting the three-point shot. The three-point attempt right now in the NBA, they are first with 51 attempts a game, which is unreal. Made 46 per game. That's first in the NBA. But they're currently 7th in the NBA at 37% from downtown. And I know the Boston Celtics love shooting it from downtown, right? But there's a reason for that. They're incredible at it. So far through the first 20 games, they're over here setting records that I didn't even know needed to be broken. The franchise record for most three-pointers made already been set in one game. They tied the NBA record in the season opener by making 29 three-pointers against the New York Knicks. And, of course, like I just said, they're already first in the league in three-pointers attempted and three-pointers made. But I think the misconception about Mazzulla Ball is that it's not just taking threes and hoping the majority of them fall. It's actually about making the most analytical shot that they can, and it's about shot creating, which I do think the Boston Celtics starting 5 and the bench players have really adapted to. So that's what Mazzulla Ball is, creating the best possible shot. And thankfully, the Celtics, who have, in my opinion, the best roster in the NBA, they have the ability to do that with all of the offensive weapons that they have around the three-point line and inside the three-point line. And Joe Mazzulla really broke this down here a little bit further. And Mazzulla said that the game is analytically driven, so people are going to follow analytics. Fortunately for us, we have analytics, but we have the guys to be able to do that. So it's a credit to them, just kind of buying into the system, but also using their talents to get better as a team. So I think that's kind of what we're focused on, is how to constantly maximize the talent and the roster we have, how we put it together, how we take advantage of it from their talent standpoint and from an analytical standpoint. And I know, he's not going to harp on this either, but it also comes down to selflessness. We know that Jason Tatum, who wants to be an MVP, he's not going to take that shot if he doesn't have the open shot. He's going to kick it out to the corner where Derek White has been standing for the last 5 seconds waiting for that catch and shoot to have one of the highest three-point percentages from the corner. It's about when Luke Cornett is standing around the rim and Derek White's driving down low. He could go for a 2-point layup, but he won't. He'll shovel pass it to Luke Cornett because that's statistically the best open shot. Even if the Boston Celtics 3-ball doesn't fall, the Celtics are equipped, thanks to Mazzulla Ball, to beat you in other margins on the floor. We saw that last night when they beat the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons were out shooting us from downtown, but we had the upper hand in every other statistical category, hence we won by 10. Do you want to know why Joe Mazzulla always harps on three-point differential? As if you don't already know. The Pistons are shooting 61% from deep tonight. That was last night when the Celtics still won by 10. Boston was up 16 points regardless. Boston had a plus 17 three-point field goal attempted advantage. So yes, while it does statistically show up more in the three-point area, it doesn't mean that it's just 4 three-point shots. And the beautiful part about the Boston Celtics is that when they did have such a ginormous lead against the Pistons, and statistically, when a basketball team starts to find their flow and their mojo, which happened to be the Pistons early in the fourth quarter, and they condensed that lead to single digits for Boston, because their lead was already so great, because they won every single margin, they could afford to allow a team to come back and win, or at least come back and make that lead a little bit tighter, is because Boston was up by so many. Why? Mazzulla Ball. That's why when teams come back to try and replicate it or try and beat Mazzulla Ball, you will fail because it's created for the Celtics roster. Because the Celtics had the 2 highest paid NBA players on the same team. They've got 2 all-defensive NBA players in the backcourt. They've got future Hall of Famers. They've got 2 players in the MVP conversation. Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla crafted it perfectly to make this the best team in the NBA. So good luck trying to replicate it. It will not work. Jalen Brunson. Anyways, do you guys like Mazzulla Ball? Type white for yes, type in for no. I hope you guys all say yes, because I know it just looks like they're just chucking threes up constantly, but there is an art to it. So if you guys like it, go on ahead, put it in the comment section down below. And as always, if you guys want more thoughts like this, rumors, news, or anything on the Boston Celtics, you'll find it right here at Celtics Today by Chat Sports.